This is lesson 69. And these lessons right within this section are all talking about, of course, the Course talks a lot about our grievances. It talks a lot about our judgments, the things that seem to separate us, as this is telling us, from the truth about who we are, the light that abides within us. We don't really understand what our grievances cost us. We don't really understand what our judgments cost us. Our fears are costing us. And even, as the Course would say, our slight little depressive attitudes. You know, you get up and, I'm not blah. I'm just blah today, I don't know why, but I'm just blah. That they're costing us the power to solve our problems, the power to solve our lives. I always say, if people say, if you knew the answer, if you could turn this piece of paper over and there would be the answer to your life, all the questions you have, would you do it? Yeah, we'd all do it, right? If I knew all I had to do was turn that page over and there was everything I needed. Oh, that's it. Got it. It's right here. Or how about a pill? We see that on TV all the time. If they said there's a pill you could take, you'd know every question you ever had, it would be answered. Any question in the future would be answered. There's no side effects. None of those long lists of side effects you always hear on those commercials, for prescription drugs. No diarrhea, no fatal death. No heart attack. There's palpitations, all those things, flat feet. They tell you all these things that you're going to get if you take that thing. If you took it and there were no side effects and you'd have all your answers, not only for you but for everyone, in a way that blesses and heals, wouldn't you do it? Of course you would. The Course keeps telling us you have that answer within you. You don't have to go to anybody else. You don't have to read one more book. You don't even have to take a pill. You don't even have to turn a piece of paper over. The light abides within you. And what is costing you that light are your grievances. The things we hold against each other and ourselves. And we do them like this. We're holding those grievances constantly. The moment we open up our eyes, we have a plethora, I like that word for tonight for some reason, a plethora of grievances that we can hold on to. Give me a moment, I'll think of a million of them. A million reasons why. We went to a wedding. It was my husband's daughter who, from his first marriage, so right there you can imagine I have a plethora. And it's not just because I have an ex-wife. It's because I have a crazy ex-wife. That's the reason why. And again, this is my opportunity. And you know what? I think she'd actually agree that she's a crazy ex-wife, because she says, I'm so messed up. And I always think to myself, if you know it, why are we not doing something about it? Going to counseling, there's so many things that we can do. But what I see happen so much of the time with people who do have their own issues, they just don't want to look at them. And they just think magically that's going to go away. What does this lesson say? It says, no, you got to look at those dark clouds. You got to look at those things, because the more you look at them, the more you realize they have no power over you. But when you don't look, they have a lot of power over you. You got to look at them, because we all have stuff that hides the light of the world in us. Look at that first paragraph. No one can look upon what your grievances conceal. Think about that. So what this is saying is, as long as we see value in holding a grievance, this stuff, we can't look on what's really there. You cannot look on what your grievances conceal. You can't see the light in you when you are so distracted by the pain and suffering and the anger and the judgment of the world. This political season is sapping you of your light if you let it. And again, we may have not the candidates that any of us want, depending on what you might think, but what we also have is a news media that needs to be relevant. I do know that is true. So we do hear a lot of stuff 24/7, because we have a 24/7 news cycle, and we have stations that depend on making money off the news. That's no doubt about it. It used to be the news was a lost leader in television. It was a public service. Remember Walter Cronkite, Huntley and Brinkley? Remember those guys? You're too young, Becky, but those guys, I remember growing up under all these guys, Huntley and Brinkley, Walter Cronkite, all these guys. They were big publicity guys, and people liked them. They were the face of security. But the news, even though they made money, the news was a lost leader. It didn't make a lot of money. You were never going to make money off the news. Nowadays, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, these things make a lot of money. And so to make themselves relevant, they have to keep controversy because for some reason we believe controversy sells. But I don't know about you. I see a lot of news stories now where they're trying to sell more hopeful ideas. You know, we do fall back into this. There's always a segment. I like to watch Lester Holt on NBC. That's my news, at least regular, normal, regular TV news, not the cable networks. And what I like about him is at the end of the NBC news, there's always this hopeful story. There's always a happy story. There's always something that gives you a sense of more purpose beyond what we see. So I know that we're moving in that direction. But aside from that, no matter what's going on in politics, no matter what's going on in news, maybe we understand all these things, but if we get caught up in the judgments and the anger from all of this, we don't find our answer. We don't find our solution. So our solution is not necessarily turning off the news, although you can. It's not reading the newspaper, although you can do that as well. Our solution would be to look at this and through this to the truth. And so that's what this lesson kind of gives you a little tip to do. A very, very specific guided meditation of moving past the clouds. And the clouds represent the chaos of the world that we get caught up in. But it is substanceless, just like a cloud is substanceless. We can move past it. They have no power over the Holy Son of God. And that's what you get in this workbook lesson. You get a sense of hope, and you also get to look quite clearly at what is going on. So it says, you cannot look on anything that your grievances conceal. So if you're holding them, you're not going to see the truth. Because your grievances, why? Are hiding the light of the world in you. And everyone stands in darkness, and you beside him. So when you are lost in darkness, everyone is kind of caught in that too. It's a collective consciousness of awareness that we get into. But we can break that as we begin to move past it. Haven't you ever been in a situation where maybe people have been all kind of grumpy or whatever, and you kind of come in and you just offer a little hope or a little possibility, and sometimes that begins to lighten the mood. People kind of go, yeah, well, I guess that could work, or yeah, that's not a bad idea. You know, they may not always stay in it, but you can offer a little bit of semblance of something more. And I think that it begins to attract people because we really want something more. We don't want to stay in this. We want something more. And we, in our souls, know there is something more. We feel there is, even though we can't justify it. But when somebody else offers it, oh, maybe I can find it. But if we offer darkness, we stay in darkness. Because we cannot give, again, what is not ours. So if we are giving it, we're holding on to it ourselves. We don't want to hold on to that anymore. And we want to lift them as well. As it says, but as the veil of your grievances is lifted, right, we release them. If we hold on to darkness, they stand in darkness. But if we let our grievances be lifted, they are released with us. Share your salvation now with him who stood beside you when you were in hell. He is your brother in the light of the world that saves you both.